Good morning, everybody. Chris McKay here, joining you again. Today I'm at the McIntosh Gallery at Western University, and I'm joined by Catherine Elliott Shaw, who is the acting director of the McIntosh Gallery. Catherine, can you tell us a little bit about the gallery?
McIntosh Gallery began as a bequest from Wilhelmina Morris McIntosh in 1940, and it was a major gift to the university at that time. She wanted to have an art gallery as a memorial to her husband, Jay Gordon, and they had collected during their lifetimes a substantial collection of artworks, 67 pieces in all, in primarily British and Canadian artists. When it came time to make this a reality, she had her lawyer draw up a will under which we still operate today that would see her estate come to the university. It provided $50,000 to build the building. It provided her 67-piece art collection as the nucleus of what we have today. And it provided the residue of her estate, which would come to the gallery to help take care of the gallery and to buy pictures from time to time. The only caveat to that was that if the university did not have the building up and open to the public within 2 years of receiving the money, that it would go to the University of Toronto. So Mrs. McIntosh passed away in 1940. We're at war. Everything's rationed. Artisans are gone. Construction's at a standstill. And yet they did it with 1 month to go to the deadline. And we opened on June the 26th, 1942. This wonderful painting is by Florence Carlyle. It's called The Moth. It is actually one of the original McIntosh estate collection works, and we have it on display here at the gallery in our current exhibition. Mr. and Mrs. McIntosh collected quite a number of artworks over the period of their marriage. This one they purchased from an exhibition of Carlyle's work in 1910, and it is one of the gems of our collection. Colonel Sir Richard Airey had a remarkable military career, primarily here in Canada. He joined Sandhurst in 1821 at the age of 18, and as was common practice in those days, he was taught watercolor painting, which may sound a little odd. However, if you realize that the camera was not in widespread use until some 50 years later, it was common practice to teach the officers watercolor painting so that they could document the topography of an area and bring back those watercolors to show their officers and therefore plot strategy easily. So, of course, British military came out to Canada, sleepy old Canada, and there wasn't a lot of need for that particular usage. However, they took great delight in documenting the areas where they were posted. And so many of these watercolors, in fact, were sent home to Britain. There are quite a number there still today. And they were essentially postcards for family and friends. This is one of 7 watercolors by Colonel Sir Richard Airey in the collection of McIntosh Gallery. It is of Port Talbot, which of course was Thomas Talbot's home. He first visited Port Talbot in 1831 when his regiment, the 34th, visited the area, and he stayed with his uncle Thomas Talbot at the Talbot estate. We know that he visited a total of 4 times between 1831 and 1840, and upon returning from England in 1847, he stayed for another 4 years because Talbot had promised to give him his empire, essentially. And so Airey resigned his commission and moved to Canada with his wife and family. Over the course of the next 4 years, however, serious disputes started arising as Airey was managing Talbot's business affairs, and Talbot was not pleased at all. Finally, Airey realized that it was not going to be successful, and he and his family returned to England, where he was recalled to duty. He was military secretary to Lord Hardinge and posted to the Crimea, where he had the dubious distinction of having signed the orders for the charge of the Light Brigade. This lovely painting gives us quite a lot of detail about the Talbot estate, especially the home, which of course has been demolished for many years. We can see the tremendous trees and the lake in the distance with the sailboat. There are 3 more views of the Talbot estate. This one, of course, has more detail about the outbuildings and the house from a different angle. Here we have St. Thomas, a wonderful documentation of the town as it appeared at that time, as well as the Old English church up on the hill. This is Port Stanley, in which we see the ships tied up at the dock and people fishing, not unlike the way it still is today. In the 1840s, the British also documented any port on the lake so that the information was readily available for national security. And finally, we have London, which gives us a great idea from the Wortley Road Hill, looking north. We have the courthouse, we have Eldon House without its characteristic veranda, which was not added until later, and of course St. Paul's. And the fact that we can date this to between 1847 and 51, which coincides with Airey's residence in this area. We also know that St. Paul's burned in 1845 and was not reopened until late 1846 or so. In addition, St. Lawrence Church here burned in 1851 and was never replaced.
What a wonderful collection. Thank you. If people would like to learn more, where should they go?
They can check out our website, McIntoshGallery.ca, for our open hours and our exhibitions, which are ongoing throughout the year. Or they can come and stroll the grounds, where we have a lot of sculptures specifically placed around the gallery. Behind me is Western Pergola by Reinhard Reitzenstein, which was placed there as a 50th anniversary project.